Today we're gonna make some boards out of this DIY sawmill. It's pretty ingenious and is made from scrap metal. It has a lawnmower engine for power, a chainsaw bar to actually cut the wood, and is made from anything that they could find. So today we're gonna test it out and see if I can finally make some siding for our off-grid washroom. We'll see how it turns out. So my father-in-law and his friend made this, as I said, out of what they could find, and it's pretty impressive. The downside is it's fairly time-consuming compared to a, standard sawmill, but it absolutely does its job. And today I'm gonna see what the process is like to make some boards, see if it's anything worth my time or if I just have better luck buying the wood. We'll find out. So it's pinned into position. Now we're gonna start it up and make our first cut. So here's the first cut, and it's actually pretty good. Now, you've definitely noticed by now, this is a long process. Making each cut takes a long time for a number of factors. First of all, the actual blade is a chainsaw bar, so it's much thicker, so it takes more time to get through the wood. It's not ideal, but it works good. I will say though, the friend that made this did his entire house in board and batten wood. It looks great, but it took a long time to do. So I'm gonna test doing this entire log, see how much wood I can get out of it, and see if it's even worth it, because it might not be. So now I have to flip the log onto its face. And then pin it back into position and do a cut along the top. And then I'm gonna change the depth and then run her again. And let's see how this cut was. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So now I flip it on its side again. And now with an 8-inch width, I think I will slice some boards out of it, and I'll see how many I can get. Okay, so here's the thing. I think I'm gonna pivot. As much as it creates a big, beautiful beam, I mean, this is like an 8x10 beam right now. It looks great. It takes a very long time. To create boards for enough board feet to cover not only the off-grid washroom and the section of the house I want to do, it's gonna take a very long time. So I think I'm gonna pivot. I have a really cool idea for what I'm gonna use this beam for, but I'm also gonna produce some other stuff. Stay tuned and you'll find out exactly what I'm doing. Good girl. Back at the house, and I've got my boards here. I was able to make 7 boards out of an additional log. You know, sometimes things just don't work out. It would have taken quite a long time to get enough wood and board and batten for the off-grid washroom. So I had to kind of switch gears here. So my plan is to fix something that's been bothering me. And if we can get to it, I have a really cool plan for this gigantic beam that I made. I'm actually going to use it on the container. Hopefully we can get to that. First, I want to fix the steps to our tiny home. I'm sure you've noticed by now that we actually are using 4 skids as a step up to the tiny home. And our deck is an old used deck that was cut in half, and I just threw it here and it works for now. It works great until I can build a nice deck that wraps around 2 sides of the tiny home. But our skids are falling apart. Literally, they are absolutely falling apart. They've been here for a couple of years now. They've done their job, but I think I need to use our boards. I'm gonna cover them, get some new boards for the winter so it's a little bit safer to step on, and hopefully it looks a little bit better. So it's the next day. I had to finish some important stuff off camera last night, but I did complete what I was working on. Now this is a little bit like putting lipstick on a pig, but it's gonna get us through winter. It's solid and it's gonna work. And you know what? It looks a little bit better. Let's move on to that really cool project with that beam. So here's my idea for this big chonky beam. I wanna use it to give us access to the top of our container. That way we can use it as, say, like a patio when our friends come over. It's quite a bit of real estate up here. It's fairly solid, and you can kind of hang out here, get a vantage point, put a couple of chairs, not permanently, just whenever you want to. And I think that'd be kind of nice. So I have a couple ideas on how I can do this. First of all, I want to do it at the back of the container, that way it's out of the way. One idea was to run the beam diagonally up against the side here, or on the other side of the container. But the problem is I blow snow against the container all the time to get rid of it during the winter, and it would kind of just be in the way. Especially on this side where I always remove the snow on the shelter, it comes in the middle, I blow it, so that's not ideal. So I'm thinking I place it diagonally, kind of like where my materials are here, up on an angle to the top. So first I'm gonna clear the materials out of the way, then I'm gonna get the beam generally where I want it. This was a bit harder said than done because I bet you the beam is over 600 or 700 pounds, but at least I wiggled it into position. I notched the top so that it sits properly, touching the shipping container, as well as pinning the bottom, that way it can't move or slide. I am building this to be a cross between stairs and a ladder because I don't want to encroach in my storage space behind the container. So this will be just something that's full-time access to the top, but not necessarily super comfortable or for everyone. This is such a wonky project. Not everything's straight or anything like that, but you know what? I'm not trying to win a beauty pageant here. I'm just trying to get up to the top of the container. And sometimes it's about pivoting on a project. I mean, I started yesterday hoping I could do the siding on our off-grid washroom finally, but that's not going to work out. Sometimes things just fail and you got to move on to something else. With those steps on, I have to say it works pretty well. I was going to keep this top log and I was going to cut it and carve it into like a handle, but I think I'm just going to lop it off here and then screw in from the inside of the container and secure this puppy to the container as best I can. Well, there it is. We have a staircase slash ladder and it is super solid now. I've got the footing pinned at the bottom and there's a leg bolt coming through the container, which means it is so solid I can't move it at all. And although it might be a little janky and a bit wonky, it works really well and it gives us a nice spot up here where you can just come up and chill. Maybe I can even store some stuff up here that doesn't mind being weathered or covered in snow. And obviously it's a little bit steep and you may be thinking it needs a railing, but to be honest, if you need a railing to come up on this, you shouldn't be coming up onto this container at all. Oh man, this steepness kind of reminds me of the tiny home stairs. But again, the start of yesterday, I was really hoping to get siding done and it didn't happen. It's just one of those things, failure happens and I'm happy to show it here on my channel. So if you appreciate the projects and the work we put into our homestead and working on little things that make a large difference, make sure you subscribe. And if you missed it, make sure you check out the video I did last week on the container where I installed a diesel heater. And that diesel heater is gonna make this shop nice and cozy warm. And all it takes is a couple sips of fuel of diesel. So make sure you watch that video. And hey, if any of you know any sawmill companies that want to work with me, reach out. I would love to have a portable sawmill. Until next time, I hope you guys have a good week and make sure you check out the other videos I have going on. We're heading into winter now. So I'm doing the best I can to get everything ready ahead of time because the baby's coming as well. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next week.